Good morning, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to present ResApp Health to you today. Essentially, ResApp, what we do is we take this smartphone that the majority of you have in your pocket today and turn it into a true medical device, able to accurately diagnose and accurately help manage respiratory disease. There's no need to buy something to plug into the device. There's no need to somehow pair some other device with Bluetooth to your phone. We're able to use the microphone in this phone to do an accurate diagnosis of respiratory disease. And we do that through signature recognition or pattern recognition, or machine learning, to listen to the sound of your cough, look for signatures in the sound of that cough, and match those signatures to diseases. So respiratory disease is the most common outcome from a visit to the doctor. Cough is one of the most common reasons for going to a doctor. We estimate there's about 700 million doctor visits every year in the OECD nations that result in a diagnosis of respiratory disease. Here in Australia, that number's about 6 to 8 million. So it's a significant number of visits going to a GP where a diagnosis of respiratory disease could be very useful. These diseases include things like an upper respiratory tract infection, so your common cold, to more complex things like pneumonia, like croup, like bronchiolitis in children. And so all of these diseases are quite different, and all of them are actually treated very differently. So it's important to get that differential diagnosis correct. Today, what happens, you go to the doctor, he listens to your chest with the stethoscope. He may send you off for imaging. He may send you off for a spirometry test, a lung function test. He may send you off for blood tests. What's interesting about this is this takes time, often multiple appointments at different locations. It's expensive. An X-ray for pneumonia in the US costs about $200 or $300 an X-ray. And what's really interesting is that it's actually not that accurate. Diagnosis of pneumonia using X-ray, clinical diagnosis, is only about 75 to 80% accurate. So the doctor's wrong 1 in 5 times. So our technology was spun out of the University of Queensland. It's based on some machine learning technology developed by a professor there. Essentially, similar to how speech recognition goes from speech to text, similar to how Shazam listens to signatures in music, we listen to signatures in cough and match those signatures to disease. It's very straightforward to use. You simply answer a few small questions about your age, about whether or not you have a fever. You cough into the smartphone, and the smartphone provides an instant on-device diagnosis. Very simple, very straightforward to use. And importantly, as I said in the beginning, there's no need for you to plug a device in. There's no need for you to go to the shop and buy a device. There's no need for us to manufacture a device. We're leveraging the Apple's, Samsung's, HTC's manufacturing capabilities and their capability of getting a device in everybody's hand. We're purely developing software which fits on top of that device. Over the last 18 months since we've spun out of the university, our primary focus has been on delivering the clinical evidence needed to take this through the regulatory pathway. We have over 1,500 patients through our clinical trials, and we've demonstrated above 90% accuracy for the diagnosis of most common respiratory diseases in both adults and children. Interestingly, we've also found that we've outperformed clinicians in using the stethoscope. So as I said, a clinician often uses a stethoscope as that initial triage about respiratory disease. We've found that we can listen to sounds, or we can pick up sounds from a cough that a clinician would often miss using a stethoscope. Right now, we're on the cusp of starting a US clinical study, which will provide our registration data for the US FDA. And we're very pleased to be working with Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, one of the leading US hospitals, to do that study. We have this great technology. Our clinical evidence shows that it works very accurately, but how do we get it into market? We see an opportunity to leverage the growth in telehealth to provide an anywhere, anytime test alongside a telehealth consultation. So this means that instead of us going B2C, we're going B2B, B2B to those telehealth providers who are already providing something like 75 million telehealth consultations every year today. About 30 to 50% of those consultations are respiratory related. So telehealth provides us our beachhead into those 700 million doctor visits annually. We also see opportunities in emergency departments, in 24-hour clinics and other urgent care opportunities. And I guess, in summary, we see this business in 3 ways. We see the clinical evidence, and we've demonstrated now on over 1,500 patients that the technology works. We've met with the US FDA and we have a clear pathway to FDA approval. And finally, we have a very unique opportunity to enter the market through telehealth and reach millions of people very quickly. Thank you.